Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freighter. Brazen murders are nothing new to St. James. In fact, since the early 2000s, the parish has consistently been registering at least 100 murders per year, much to the disappointment of law-abiding citizens. Because of the frequency of the murders, unless the killing was that of an high-profile person or the act was extremely gruesome, they were quickly forgotten as new murders replaced old murders. However, one murder in 2002 did not fall in that particular category, and it was the murder of businessman Eugene Fat Eye Parkinson, who was emerging as a significant figure in the Western city at the time of his death. His killing attracted much attention because of who he was and the influence that he had. Initially, Fat Eye was linked to the illicit drug trade, especially after he was arrested in a major drug bust in the 1990s and was sent to prison. However, he later emerged as a successful businessman who operated a popular plaza in downtown Montego Bay. He became even more popular when he became an investor manager in club football in St. James. The fact that Fat Eye died while attending a football team practice was perhaps his destiny, as his passion for the game was of such that when Jamaica's Reggae Boys qualified for the 1998 World Cup in France, he decided against watching the games on television and actually flew to France to watch the games in person. In this edition of Lest You Forget, I'll be looking back at the incident in which Fat Eye was killed from a story I wrote for the Jamaican Star, which was published under the headline MoBay Businessman Murdered, which was published on July 2, 2002. I will also look briefly at his funeral service, which was arguably the most colourful funeral service in Western Jamaica at that time. That story was published under the headline Royal Send-Off for Fat Eye, which was published on July 22, 2002. The first story read as follows. Montego Bay businessman Eugene Parkinson, who is believed to be in his late 40s, was killed gangland style along the Iron Shore Main Road in the Western City last night. Parkinson, popularly known as Fat Eye, was the manager of the Mount Salem football team. The gunman, who reportedly pumped close to a dozen bullets into Parkinson's body, also shot and injured Emerson Diggy Henry, the coach of Rossi's High School D'Costa Cup team. According to eyewitness reports, shortly after 7 p.m., Parkinson, Henry, and other persons were standing at the far end of the Iron Shore playing field where the Mount Salem team had just completed their afternoon training session. A man armed with a handgun reportedly emerged from nearby bushes and opened fire on the group. Parkinson, who is believed to have been hit in the initial burst of gunfire, reportedly ran down the nearby main road with the gunman chasing him and firing a barrage of shots. Parkinson reportedly fell some 100 meters from where the shooting started, and the gunman reportedly stood over him, changed the magazine in his gun, and then pumped more bullets into his body. As bystanders at the nearby Harvey Beach looked on in amazement, the shooter reportedly walked over to a white Toyota car which was parked close by and got in, and the car sped away. Henry, who guided Rossi's to a record 7 D'Costa Cup titles, and the other persons who were wounded were all rushed to the Cornwall Regional Hospital, where they were rushed into emergency surgery. A source at the hospital told the Gleaner that Henry was shot 7 times in the upper and lower body, and that 2 of the other injured persons had gunshot wounds to their upper body. Superintendent Denver Freighter, St. James's crime chief, described the shooting as a cold-blooded act. According to him, based on the number of shots that were fired at the scene, it was clear that the killer had murderous intentions. We are currently gathering statements, so it would not be practical to give you a statement at this time, he said. We can confirm that at least another 2 persons has been hospitalized with gunshot wounds. As news of the shooting spread around Montego Bay, a large crowd gathered outside the Madden's funeral home on Union Street where Parkinson's body was taken. There was lots of crying when his family and close friends arrived at the funeral home where the partially wrapped body was laid out on a stretcher. As was stated in the introduction, Parkinson's funeral was an extremely colourful affair. I will describe it as best I can from the opening paragraphs of the story I wrote about the funeral. It read as follows. In easily most lavish funeral service ever seen in Montego Bay, businessman Eugene Fat Eye Parkinson, the former manager of the Salem Football Club, was buried like a king in a glass mausoleum covered by a glass house in his home district of Belmont near Montego Bay yesterday. Parkinson, who was killed gangland style by a lone gunman just under Montego, arrived at the Mount Salem Conference Center, the site of the funeral service, in an elegant Ford Cadillac hearse, which rolled in a procession headed by 3 motorcycle policemen, 2 police cars, a video crew on motorcycles, 3 stretch limousines, and several top-of-the-line Lexus, BMW Surf, and Ford Explorer vehicles. At the conference center, which was elegantly decorated by blue and yellow balloons, which were used to create numerous arches, the procession was met by family members and well-wishers, nattily attired in a range of clothing from designer outfit to t-shirts bearing Parkinson's portrait. While much has changed since the death of Parkinson, his story is definitely one of those unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica. Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Eugene Fat Eye. Before you go, please remember to subscribe.